All right, Erica, Lindsay, Ayala back here again for American Legacy Network and our Black in Beijing series. Although we're kind of cheating a little bit, Sylvia. We're not in Beijing anymore. Back stateside. But Sylvia Hoffman, very honored to be joined by you. You were one of the Black athletes to reach the podium, one of the Americans to reach the podium in Beijing 2022. So first and foremost, congratulations.
Thank you so much, Erica.
Of course. And we want to let's just start there. I mean, you've gotten back to the States. You're in good old New York City right now. But what has your reaction been to being back home, but coming back home with an Olympic medal?
It has been amazing. It's still kind of surreal because I'll go back and watch some of the videos, especially the podium videos, and then even our fourth heat when we crossed the finish line, and I'm grabbing his leg, grabbing E, yeah, we did it. And then just also recalling those memories and those moments of me just kind of yelling in the air like escape of relief. And then I just started bawling, crying. I'm just oh my gosh, we just finished the race. We've done all of this whole season. It's been a long quad. We just finished third. I'm an Olympic medalist. I'm an Olympian, and then I'm also trying to high five my teammate and my coaching staff and everyone. And, everyone's congratulating me. And then we're up there on the medal stand. And, there's a moment that I recall and I just keep laughing. I shake my head to myself because I'm just you're just so silly. We step up on the podium and then, we're cheering and waving. And then Alana is getting ready to hold my hand. And then I just start punching the air. I'm just yeah. I'm this complete moment. I'm just yeah. So I just laugh at it every single time. I'm just Sylvia. But, I could see the happiness on my face. I could see the happiness that, I was just releasing, around everyone that was with me, around Alana, just because we had worked so hard to get there and we put so much energy and effort to get down the hill as fast as possible. We set start records. We broke our own start record. Alana laid down some monstrous runs, and then we came out and we won bronze. And you know what? I can handle that because I know both of us went out there and we did our very best. We laid it all out there on the line and then we got rewarded for it. So it's you know what? We did this. We did this. And it just makes me so happy to have those memories with me.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, your energy is so infectious. I feel like we can feel it. I know the viewers are going to feel it, which is amazing. And that's why so many people become enamored, right, with the Olympic Games. And it's always amazing to see people, be able to, in their first experience, capture some of that joy on the podium. And it's really amazing. But I do want to get back to this being your first Olympics. You mentioned going through the quad or the 4-year cycle that Olympians go through. But this has been an Olympics like none other. But it's also the only Olympic experience for yourself that So I just wonder what it's been like for you. And if you can even reflect now on that balance between the excitement, but also having to maneuver in ways that no other Winter Olympians have had to before.
Yeah, I think just because of the last 2 years with the whole pandemic thing going on, they changed our entire season. So my first 2 years of the quad, the first 2 years out of the 4, I had normal seasons. We went on tour, we had pilots, brakemen, nothing was crazy. We had, normal amounts of training runs per week. We only had one discipline, which was the 2-woman race. And then, the last 2 years of the quad, everything was different. We had 2 training days as opposed to 3 training days. And we had, limited amount of people on tour, but then we also had another event. We had monobob also implemented within our season. So not only did we have a limited amount of space to do things, but we also had a larger workload. So that in itself was very exhausting for me in my 3rd year. Everyone had its lockdowns and the COVID restrictions, and we had to get tested twice a week. Especially during the whole season and it's cold and you have to stop what you're doing with the race preparations. And, it was just a lot. And I remember speaking to our higher staff with the USOPC and just saying, hey, we have to take care of the athletes a little bit better. This is what I experienced. And I was I know this is my first time like really like this close to the Olympic Games, but I was like, we have to do something. We have to have medical staff available for these athletes, because I was like, people are about to go to Tokyo. I was like, I don't want them to feel like I just felt. I was like, this is ridiculous. I was like, we have to do something. And they really took me seriously. I think they took a lot of the athletes seriously when we came to them. We said, hey, this is what we're seeing. This is what we're feeling. This is what we're going through. We need help. Can you guys, at least adjust to make sure that we're still staying high performance and not just protect, and then we're forgetting the part of where we have to perform. I think that our organization really made sure that we got exactly what we needed, and then made sure that people were safe at the same time. So the fourth year of the quad, it's like we had kind of like a similar year from the third year, but we had experience now. So like now we're going into everything. We're a little bit more experienced with what's going on and how it's going to go and what to expect. So that being said, the previous years with the non-COVID stuff, it was like they didn't have those restrictions, but they also had a lot more other distractions, like, like the media, the people, everything that goes on with the games, all the events that happens around competition. So I think that was replaced with our COVID restrictions where we weren't able to do certain things. So in a way, we were able to focus a little bit more on the competition and not necessarily all the noise and stuff that was going on around us. But, we're athletes and we're put in situations that are very tough sometimes, and we have to learn to adapt. And I think that every athlete that competed at the Olympic Games and was trying to make the Olympic team around the world, I think we all did the best that we could, and I think we did really well doing it.
Wow, Sylvia, I really appreciate you, laying that out, because one of the things that we've been hearing athletes be more vocal about, especially during the pandemic, is a lot of that balance between mental, physical, emotional, and what it takes to be elite. And how those categories are important and play into one another. So I really appreciate you laying that out and what that journey was like. And it's really great and encouraging to hear people like yourself or Alana. We talked with her about just monobob and her role with Humphreys and really being able to champion that. I think it's so important for people to be able to get that perspective, right, of what it takes in that 4 years and why that fist pumping happens.
Yeah, it happened. I was like, we did it. We did this. We made it happen, and we did it together. And I'm very proud of both of us.
I love that. And I do want to get back to the being able to ride with Ayala. But another thing that we here at American Legacy Network have noticed because of our coverage of Black athletes, and that was a focus of ours during the Olympic Games, is, we could round them up pretty quick from the nearly 3,000 athletes that were there. It's actually less than 1%. And so I want to remix this a little bit, because I know the temptation a lot, and I've certainly had these conversations is, well, what can we do? Like, how do we get more Black people and melanated in the sport? But let's remix it a little and tell your story. So how did you, Sylvia Hoffman, get into bobsled? Like, what was the entry point for you? Take us back.
Well, if we take it back, I did do basketball for about 15 years. I did it from like childhood all the way through college. But at my university, we had a high performance and development center for USA weightlifting on our campus. So I was exposed to one of the most natural Team USA sports that, actually started in the very beginning. So I was exposed to Olympic weightlifting. I met Kendrick Ferris. He was the first Olympian that I had ever met. He's a summer Olympian. He is now a 3-time Olympian for USA weightlifting. And at the time, he had only been to Beijing. So that's like foreshadowing, I guess. Let alone a Black male or Black anyone do this. And now in our gym itself, I think we had maybe 3 Black athletes. So I was like, okay, this is good. I can do this. And I began meeting other countries. The Colombian team really made a big impression on me. They're one of the first teams that I met and got to train with. Their entire team is, they're dark skinned and light skinned. And it's like, okay, I walk past the gym and I'm watching them do, lifts. I'm like, yeah, they're strong. They're like, you're strong too. And I'm like, so it was heartfelt. So it made an impression. So I went through weightlifting. I competed 3 times internationally with USA weightlifting in Israel, Russia, and Taipei. And then I decided to switch sports because my trajectory of making an Olympic team, it went from being steep like this to more like this. And it was like, okay, I think it's non-existent now. It was like an uphill battle. I love my coaches, but my first few years, I wasn't getting the technical coaching that I needed. And then I also wasn't really brought up to speed of like what I could accomplish as a weightlifter until I met my second weightlifting coach, Zygmunt Smalzers, which is still my current weightlifting coach. He used to be the head coach for USA Weightlifting. Now he's the head coach of Norway's federation. Awesome guy. He told me, you can be a world champion. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, you can be an Olympian as well. He's like, he's an Olympic champion. So for him, he's like, all of his friends are Olympic champions. So he comes from a background of just knowing, all these great athletes. He's trained hundreds of great athletes. So for him to tell me that, I was like, what? No one told me this before. I was like, why didn't anyone tell me this? So then I asked him, can he help me? He said, yeah. So we got down and we worked on it. We worked on physical strength, mental stability. That was a big thing for me. And then when I got about 2018, I realized okay, I don't think this is going to work. So I started kind of like looking, and then there was the Next Olympic Hopeful Scouting Camp. I had already seen an ad that year before, but I was so concentrated on making another team after my injury that I just dismissed it in 2017. So 2018, I see another ad on Instagram, and it's like, scouting camp. I'm like, scouting camp, I know what that is. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to switch sports, So that's what I did. I did the scouting camp. The bobsled coaches were there, and they invited me out to Lake Placid, New York for a rookie camp. I won rookie push championships. So they said, okay, well, next month we have nationals. Come back, see what you do, in comparison to the national level athletes. I won national push championships. They said, okay, well, a month from now we have team trials, and if a pilot chooses you to race with them, you can race at team trials, and that'll help you make the national team. Well, 2 pilots chose me to race with them, and then I broke our push standard for brakemen, incoming brakemen. So I ended up kind of setting a new bar. And I had the fastest push times during national team trials. So I was national team athlete, and I was put on the World Cup team, and they said, well, hey, we're going to Whistler. We're going to do some races up there. You'll have a couple races. You'll race with Nicole Vogt, and then you'll race with Alana Myers-Taylor. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I did my first race in Whistler with Nicole, and then second race with E, and me and E, we won, my first international medal. So that's the first time I'd ever won an international medal on any level of sport. And I was just like, wow, this is cool. I just won this. And she's just like, coming off Olympic years. So she's like, this is normal for me. So me, I was like trying to get it, trying to get up to speed of like, okay, this is what she does. Got it. And then they said, well, hey, you know what? Join us on the World Cup team. So I've been competing on World Cup since my first season. I've been on the national team since my first season. I've been our number 1 brakeman since, I say, the second year, because we had some real, like Lauren Gibbs was still leading the pack, no matter if I was national champion or not my first year. So she was still leading it, our silver medalist, got to give her props. I was like, I'm not going to take that first year from her. But the second year, I really started to come into my own, and I haven't looked back. So going into the Olympic Games, Alana and I were paired together, and it was kind of like, hey, we started this, let's finish this. And she has this thing where, we get ready and we kind of slap each other's hands and stuff. And she's like, let's have some fun. And I think my third season into the sport, we raced together a bunch. And I started saying, she'd say, let's have some fun. And I say from start to finish, meaning like, hey, you know what, from start to finish, we're going to have some fun. I know you're like a start champion here. I'm also like a great, push athlete. I got you. Let's get some start records. From the start of the race to the finish of the race, I'm here with you all the way. So that's what it means. And then we can also add the fact that I started the season, started my bobsled career kind of with Alana racing wise too. My first World Cup race was with E. So it was like from start to finish, we got this. And we laid it all out there. We got bronze. Weightlifting, it played a big part in why I'm here today. Weightlifting gave me a lot of the mental stability that I needed. I think growing up as a kid, it was really tough for me. Like I had a lot of issues, and like I didn't talk about them, but I had a coach, Zygmunt, I asked him, I'm like, hey, what can I do to be better? He's like, well, you're very athletic. He was like, you can do whatever you want. He's like, it doesn't matter what you choose. He's like, you're going to be able to do it. He's like, but mentally, he was just like, you really need like to just like sit down and like really work on some things. So then that's what we did. So I asked him like, well, hey, can you help? And he said yes. And the thing about weightlifting is a lot of people think that right off the top is like about, you know, like strength and adrenaline and being mad or anything like that. But honestly, weightlifting, especially Olympic weightlifting, it's more of the mental. It gets ingrained in your head that you can do whatever you put your mind to. And then with weight bearing objects, it's like you have to have a lot of mental stability to block everything else out and just concentrate on exactly what you're doing. I have, you know, I've kind of like done a correlation. It's kind of like shooting a free throw. Shooting free throws, you're out there by yourself. No one's around you. No one's touching the ball. No one's pushing you around. You're there with the goal. Everything is in your hands. Weightlifting is the same exact thing.
There's just so many amazing things that you have been able to give in your story. So I'm serious, like, sis, I'm ready. When you're ready, I'm ready. So
yes.
That was amazing. That was amazing. Let's go. Well, I mean, Sylvia, I have had so much fun getting to know you a little bit more, and we appreciate your time over here at American Legacy Network. Thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations. And listen, I'm excited to see what's coming up.
It's coming. I tell people, I was like, you cannot prevent this. This is happening. It's inevitable. One of my skeleton friends, she kind of was saying that was like the model for this whole year. Like, it was inevitable. Just because of some of the stuff that I've been kind of put through, and I'm just like, this is happening. I don't care what else, you know, like kind of roadblock comes, but I was like, this is happening regardless. You know, and now I'm about to start, you know, piloting and driving a sled. And, you know, like I've been telling people the last few years, like, this is happening. I don't know what else to tell you guys. It's like, but it's coming. It's coming. I'm warning you now. It's coming. So I'm excited for it all. I'm so glad that you could have me on today. This has been so fun. And I'm like, this is like postseason, like kind of, you know, like, what is it called? Deloading. I get to do all this stuff and just kind of like relax and not like kill myself training. So this is really nice, and I'm so glad you had me on today.